What's going on, guys? This is Josh with Rocktown Watches. Welcome back to another video. This video, we're going to be building sort of a cross between a Rolex Explorer and a Longines Spirit Zulu Time. What you're looking at here is the finished product. I'm actually really pleased with the way this build came together. The dial is super high quality, and I think it looks great in this case. First things first, let's do a wrist check. I'm wearing my Hamilton Khaki Field Auto again, except this time I'm wearing it on a leather strap. This is a Blue Shark brand strap, and we actually carry these on our website now. We're going to be putting out a full review on these later, but here's kind of a brief overview of it. It's got a double deployant clasp. This one's kind of a dark brown color, nice taper to it, nice padding, and this watch is a strap monster, so it looks great on it. All right, here is a quick overview of the parts we're working with. First off, the case. This is, like I said, an Explorer style case, 37mm diameter. Sapphire crystal with the display case back. Here's the dial. This is sort of a Spirit Zulu Time inspired dial, kind of an elevated field watch look. And then this has the date window at 6 o'clock, so we're going to be swapping out the date wheel. Movement is just a Seiko NH35, pretty standard. And then here's the date wheel we're going to be replacing. And then here are the hands. So for the hour and minute, just sort of a classic field watch look. And actually these are the same as what's on the Khaki Field Auto, as you can see here. And then the second hand, I swapped that out for a little bit more of a red accent, just to match the 3 stars of the dial. All right, first things first, we're going to swap out the date wheel. So there are 4 screws you have to remove. It's pretty simple. They're just really small and kind of hard to work with. So here I'm pointing at the 4 screws that need to be removed. There's a top plate that's going to come off, and then the date wheel can come off. So it's, again, not a lot of stuff you have to remove, but it's very delicate and small, so it's a little difficult to work with. Here I'm using a 1mm screwdriver. There's the first screw coming out. Yeah, they're tiny, so don't lose them. And then here I'm just fast forwarding, taking out the other 3 screws. So this is the plate here that's going to come off. There's one underneath it as well that's going to be loose, but it doesn't need to come off, so I'm holding that down with my left hand with the spudger, just keeping that in place. I don't want to have to put it back on. And then I can take off the date wheel. And now it's pretty simple. You just kind of set it back on there and make sure it's centered. And then we can replace this plate again. There are 2 gold colored posts. They're going to go through 2 holes on this plate, so that's how you know it's positioned correctly once those go in. And then the most difficult part of the date wheel swap is putting the screws back in, just because they're so small. So I'm using a pair of tweezers to put them in place, and then I'm just using the screwdriver to try to get them in. It's a little bit finicky because they are so small. But so it took me a few tries here. I didn't want to cross thread it or anything, so I just kind of took it slow. And then fast forwarding through the other 3 screws. And now I'm just testing to make sure that the date wheel works properly. I have it in the time set position, and I'm just going all the way around until the date wheel moves. There you go. So now we know the date wheel is installed properly. Here's a closer look at the dial. So this dial actually already has only the 2 feet that we need for this build. We don't have to cut anything off the bottom, which is kind of nice. So it's really simple, just placing it onto the movement where those pins line up, and then pressing down gently. Okay, now it's time to put on the hands, and I already found midnight when I changed the date wheel. So I know that these are going to be lined up. Hour hand goes on first. And I'm just taking my time here to make sure it's lined up with 12 o'clock. Next up is the minute hand, and I just chose to use Rodico here to hold it in place. It's easier than using tweezers because it's easier to, once it's kind of in place, you can just pull the Rodico away. With tweezers, it's a little bit more difficult to slide them out without accidentally moving the position of the minute hand. And same thing for the second hand, also using Rodico. This one's the most difficult hand just because it's such a small hole and shaft that you're trying to line up. But once it's lined up, we push it down. And then I recommend checking to make sure there's no interference between any of the hands. So I didn't do it here, but you put it in the time setting function and move the hands around the dial, change the time, and make sure they're not running into each other. And if they are, you can adjust them. But in this case, they were good. There was clearance and everything. So moment of truth, pushing in the crown stem, and there you go. So the watch is winding, it's running, everything's working properly. Right, now I'm going to take the bracelet off the case, get the case ready to install the dial and the movement. Taking the case back off with a Bergeon ball. And then we're going to take our movement holder and we're going to just flip this around so that the rotor is facing upward. And then with the crown stem pushed in the running position, we are going to use this spudger to press down the arm that holds it in, take out the crown stem. All right, and then we're just going to take the crown off of the case. then I'm blowing out the case and dial just to make sure there's no dust or anything. And then place the case over the dial, and there you go. At this point, we just need to cut the crown stem down. So I put it in just at the full length, and then I'm going to take a rough measurement of about how much I need to cut off. So it's about 7.16 millimeters. I'm just kind of eyeballing it here. I'm gonna have to cut more off of this, but I just want to get it started and see where we are. All right, and then I put the crown stem back in, push it in. I always make sure it winds, make sure it's in the right position. And then I tried threading it onto the case, but it was too long this time. Same thing here, still a little bit too long. So I took it out one more time and just cut a little bit more off. And there you go. Now it's threaded on. Last thing I want to do here before I put the case back on is lube the gasket. And then that goes into the O-ring groove. Just make sure it's seated in there properly. All right, and then the case back is going back on here. There you go. There is a completed watch, except for the bracelet. I'm just taking off the protective sticker on the crown. Last thing to do is put on the bracelet and resize it. There you go, guys. That is a completed watch. I'm very happy with this build. I've kind of wanted a Spirit Zulu time for a while, but it's expensive, so I will not be buying one anytime soon. But this kind of scratches that itch. And the Explorer case, in my opinion, looks really nice as well with the presidential bracelet. Thank you for watching, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you want to see a specific build, please let me know. If you like the video, please like. And if you want to see future videos, please subscribe. That's all I got for you. Have a wonderful day.